Welcome to our video on what you need to know about Kindle Direct Publishing, or KDP. In this video, we'll talk about what KDP is and reasons you might want to use it. In a moment, we'll show you the number one reason why you might want to choose KDP over other options. KDP is a print-on-demand, or POD, printing and ebook publishing service provided by Amazon.
Some of the advantages of print-on-demand is it's cost-effective, right? If you were going to self-publish the old style, you would actually hire out a printer, whoever that would be. You'd have to shop around. You could go out of the country, which a lot of people do. You could be, the printer down the street, whatever. But you would have to pay them for a big run, 1,000 books, 500 books, whatever their minimum is or whatever you need. It's a lot of outlay of cash, okay? Mm-hmm. With print on demand, your cost up front is zero, right? Zero. So it's very cost effective for you. Mm-hmm. There is some money on the back end, right? That they charge, but only when things sell, which is a very different thing than just going to a printer and having all this outlay of money. Then, so the next piece of it is, the next advantage is if it's reducing your risk. Right? If you print 1,000 copies of a book and you have them sitting in your garage or some storage unit that you're paying for, but you can't move them, you can't get them to sell, you're trying to just sell it to your neighbors and everybody else, and you're not selling all of them, then you have all this money tied up in this inventory that you cannot sell. So there's risk involved with that, and so print on demand only prints one book at a time as they're purchased. Okay, so there's no inventory to worry about. There's no big outlay of money to worry about. The next thing is it's quick turnaround, right? If you hire a printer, you give them your manuscript, they have to lay it all out with their big fancy machines, and they have to do this big print run. It has to fit in their printing schedule, right? Which could be months out. You might have to wait a few months to get your book, where with print-on-demand, a print-on-demand printer can literally print your book as soon as the order is placed.
Yeah. And then also with KDP specifically, compared to other POD services, they will also immediately send the book out for you.
Right.
And so you don't have to worry about waiting the months to get it, and then waiting for the sale to happen, and then scrambling to get it packaged and sent off on time.
Right. So there's a really quick turnaround for printing. And if you're selling through Amazon, exactly, Amazon handles the purchase, the printing, the delivery of it to your customer. It's fabulous, right? And it's flexible, right? One of the advantages, the flexibility. So as people read your book, or you take another look at it with fresh eyes after you haven't read it for a little while, and you notice some problems with it, like you notice a spelling error, or you notice something funky about one of the sentences or something, all you have to do is correct it in the manuscript, upload it to KDP, the new version, and the very next book that gets purchased is going to be printed with those new changes. That is incredible, right?
No big blunders in the first edition anymore.
No, because if there are huge mistakes in that first edition and you have 1,000 copies sitting in your garage,
it's too late.
That's what you're going to be selling. That is just some garbage stuff there's nothing you can do about it unless you just want to trash that and start again. Sorry, couldn't find my cursor. Okay, next we have disadvantages, okay? What happens with print on demand versus having those big runs with lots of books is it costs more to print a single copy than it would a single copy in the bigger run, right? The cost is a little bit more, but again, you don't have this huge outlay up front, which seems to maybe make up for that.
It depends on your situation, but very much true.
Yeah. Then there's limited customization, which means you only have a few choices of paper. You don't get any choices on how they bind it, right? This is how they bind. This is what they do.
This is the style of cover. This is the texture of the cover. So if you wanted to do something fancy, you can't do that. With
right.
print on demand.
You can't do that with KDP Print on Demand.
Yes.
There may be other print on demand services where you can, but I'm sure they're premium.
Probably. You would have to pay upfront and then they take costs later. So.
Yeah. So, and it would cost you more per and all of that. So there's limitations. I mean, you're giving them the manuscript. So your book is going to look like your book, but what kind of paper it is and things you don't get a huge selection with that. Quality varies. Okay. Now, when print on demand first started, there were some serious quality issues. Some of them would be the things were not perfectly centered on the page. Some of the writing might be lighter than it should be, not as crisp as it should be. Sometimes there might be things that look like they were smeared, but lately, I mean, that was years ago when this all first started. I mean, before KDP, there was a thing called I can't even remember, but it was another Amazon printing service, so this stuff has been around for a long time, and it's gotten markedly better, at least from what I've seen with a bunch of print on demand books. They look a lot better. And so it's not the quality issues seem to have mostly resolved themselves, and I don't see a lot of quality problems anymore. The other one is distribution. If your desire is to get your book into bookstores, you can probably get them locally into a bookstore there just because, you're the person from the town or city where you live, and they like to showcase local authors. A lot of bookstores like to do that, right? But to try to get it across the nation, like in Barnes & Noble and other places like that, if you're doing print on demand through Amazon, there's a lot of challenges. It can be done, but it costs, and there's some challenges with that. So
you have to find a distribution company. You have to have more people involved with talking to the different places that you want to put your book in.
And every one of those takes their cut, their cut, right? So for a lot of self-published authors, we don't bother.
Yeah, a lot of self-publishing, that's one of the perceived drawbacks to self-publishing, that you probably aren't going to be in bookstores, even though most people buy their books through Amazon now, or other online retailers.
Right. All right.
Sort of a benefit, I guess you could say, is that it is free and available to everybody. You just need an Amazon account.
That's right. So you can upload your book and make it available on Amazon. And so far, except for your cover and your editing and the other things to get the manuscript ready and the cover ready, you're not paying them anything, right? And that's, I think, a massive advantage.
So if you want to do all of those things that we've covered in previous videos yourself, and you want to learn how to do those things properly, up to the you get it to Amazon stage, there is no cost at all.
Right.
KDP Printing and Amazon do take their own cuts, though, and we will be getting into that shortly.
Right.
And we will be getting into that by answering the promise that we gave you earlier, which is the number one reason that you might want to go with KDP over traditional publishing, for example.
Exactly. So the way I want to explain this part is I want to give you an actual example, okay? So there's a thing that you can look up on the internet, go to any search engine and type in Amazon royalty calculator, and you end up on a page with this little app built into the page, okay? And you just plug in your numbers. You plug in how big your book is, the kind of paper that you want, and how much it's going to cost, but I'll walk you through. So I chose paperback. They also do hardback now. They used to not do that, okay? But they also have the ability to print hardback. You get to choose your color. If it's a black and white, like most books, nonfiction and fiction are typically
just plain text. Yeah.
Most books other than children's books are not full color, right? So, but with those, you get the choice of cream or white. We talked about that in a previous video, those choices. I just randomly chose 160 pages as a number to choose to say your book is 160 pages. All right. Marketplace means where is the primary place these are going to be sold. And Amazon.com is, North America or United States. That's the company in America. There's other ones in like Germany.
Yeah, there's Amazon.eu, there's
Right.
there's .au, there's all kinds of different ones for different
CA
countries.
is Canada. Like there's all these different Amazon markets. So you have to pick your primary one. Your book can be available in all those others,
Yes.
right? It's just a check mark inside putting up on KDP. But for this, we're just saying where is it going to be marketed. And so the list price that I chose is $18. You can play with these numbers. You can say, what if I had more pages? What if I have a less expensive book? All that. But using those criteria, these were the answers they gave me. So on Amazon.com, for an $18 list price, the minimum they will allow you to sell this book for is $4.62. To print this book for the KDP part of this is $2.77, which means you could, as the author, pay $2.77 plus shipping to get copies of your own book. And their shipping fees for, like, if you buy a case or whatever that is that you want, say you're doing a book signing or something, then you'll want, you want 20 copies, you want 50 copies, whatever that might be. Some people, when their book comes out, they like to give them away as thank yous to all the people that helped them along the way as they were preparing it, or to their beta readers, or whoever they want to give, things to, or as prizes at their book launch party. There's different reasons you'd want actual physical copies, right? So that is the price. And then once it's printed and once Amazon is taking their piece, you would earn $8.03 per book. Okay? It's not bad. $8.03 is not bad. Mm-hmm. So just for fun, I decided to figure out how much you would earn if you were traditionally published with this exact same book. Okay? So in traditional publishing, the royalty for the author is between 7% and 25% typically. Okay, there may be exceptions on either direction.
Mm-hmm. Depending on genre, depending on how successful of an author you already are, all those different things.
Right, like if you're a rock star author,
you're probably going to make more per book.
You might make more per book, but this is pretty much the window. Okay, so I ran the math. If the book cost $18, the royalty would be, for 7%, it's $1.26 per book, right?
$1.26.
$1.26 per book is what you'd make.
And at the higher end, you'd make $4.50.
Right. Which is, so that means at Amazon, you're making almost double.
Almost double. Assuming you're getting the high end of the traditional publishing, you're still getting almost double from Amazon.
Right. So for that reason alone, we feel like that's why a lot of traditionally published authors are starting to self-publish. They're like,
their newer stuff.
I make money, and because they've already built a platform.
Yeah, it's a lot easier for a traditionally published author to transition into self-publishing than for a self-publishing author to transition into traditional.
Right.
And there's way more reasons to do it the other way as well.
Right. But they're kind of leaving traditional publishing because they make more money per book. And they already have a huge following, so they know they're going to make book sales. So it's like a wise move for them.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's, Well, if you liked the video, go ahead and leave a like. If you have any questions, leave a comment. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you want to continue watching the series and other videos we upload later. If you like push notifications, go ahead and hit the bell icon. In the next video, which is going to be the final video in this 10-part series we've been doing to launch the channel, we're going to culminate a lot of the things that we've talked about so far and teach you finally how to publish a book on Amazon and make money.
Until then.